subject AC machines. In that, the first topic is induction motor, and in induction motor we'll start our lecture with the induction motor construction. The topics to be covered today are the classification of motors, then the induction motor construction, the two major parts, stator and rotor, and the accessories. The classification of motors are basically done as per the electrical supply system, that is AC and DC. If the supply is AC, the motor is known as the AC motors. If the supply is DC on which the motor is operating, it is known as the DC motor. The DC motors are basically classified as per its two parts connection, that is field and the armature, how they are electrically connected. Depending on that, we classify the DC motors. If the field and armature are not electrically connected and given separate DC supplies to each part, then it is known as a separately excited DC motor. If the armature and the field are electrically connected, then only a single supply is required and they are known as the self-excited motors. If the field is in series with the armature, it is known as series motor. If the field is connected in parallel to the armature, it is known as shunt motor. And if we have got both the series and the shunt fields, then it is known as a compound generator. Electrically, the connection between the series and the shunt, there can be long shunt, short shunt motors also in the compound motors, or as per the direction of the field, we can classify as cumulatively compound motor and differentially compound motor. Cumulative compound motor means the series and the shunt field are in the same direction and they are additive. In the differentially compound motors, the series and the shunt field are opposing and it is known as the differentially compound motors because the resultant field will be the algebraic sum of series and shunt fields. So depending on the characteristics required, compound motors can give any characteristics between the extreme conditions of series and the shunt motor, and which you have already studied in the previous semesters. Now, this semester we have to study about the AC motors. AC motors basically are classified as synchronous motors and asynchronous motors. What is a synchronous motor or what does it mean? Basically, the speed at which the motor runs is defined by the speed of the field, which is dependent on the supply frequency and the number of the poles. So, if the machine is running at the synchronous speed, then it is known as synchronous motors, and if the motor is running somewhere below the synchronous speed, it is known as the asynchronous motors or commonly known as the induction motors. The asynchronous motors or the induction motors can be further classified as per the supply system, single phase motors or three phase motors. Three phase motors can be further classified as the squirrel cage or the split ring motors, that is on the type of the rotor in the given induction motor. Single phase motor are not self-starting, so the methodology used for the starting of the single phase motors gives its classification, that is capacitor motor, shaded pole motor, stepper motor and universal motor. Now, why the induction motor is so common and why so much emphasis is paid on the induction motors? The induction motors are the most common motors used in the industry. Mostly DC motors has been replaced by the induction motor with the advent of the power electronics. The advantages of induction motor are as it's simple and rugged in construction, they are robust and can operate in any environmental condition. Induction motors are cheaper in cost due to the absence of brushes, commutator and slip rings. Plus, because there is no brush, commutator and slip rings, hence they are maintenance free motors. Like DC motors and synchronous motors have got the commutator and brush arrangement, so it needs frequent maintenance. Induction motors can be operated in polluted and explosive environments also. Three-phase induction motors have self-starting torque, unlike the synchronous motors, hence no starting methods are employed unlike the synchronous motor. The basic working principle of the induction motor is the electromagnetic induction, and it works same as the transformer. Hence we say that an induction motor works on the transforming action. The stator works as the primary while the rotor works as the secondary. Because rotor is short circuited, so we analyze the induction motor as transformer with secondary short circuited. Because the motor does not achieve the synchronous speed, or if it achieves, the torque produced is 0 at synchronous speed. Hence it is always rotating at a speed below the synchronous speed. Therefore the name is given as asynchronous motor. It mainly consists of two parts. Stator, which is a stationary part of the rotor, consists of frame, core and winding, while rotor is the rotating part of the motor, consists of either squirrel cage or wound rotor motor, and this is how we classify the induction. Now the first part, induction motor stator, the frame. The outer frame acts as a housing for the motor and supports the stator core. It protects the inner parts of the motor. Fins are provided on the outer surface of the frame for efficient heat dissipation and cooling by increasing the surface area of the motor. Frame is provided with legs or base plate to bolt it on the foundation. Motor housing is the outer cover or frame of the motor, which contains stator, rotor and the other parts of the given motor. Housing can be either square or round. Depending on the application, it can be made of any of the following material: aluminum or aluminum alloy, mild steel or stainless steel. Next comes the stator core. Now in the figure you can see the core has been placed inside the frame, and if you see the single stamping, you can see the outer circumference is round and the inner circumference has got slots embedded in it, and the slots are created for the placement of the windings. Stator core is made up of high grade silicon steel stampings of thickness 0.3 to 0.6 mm, which are insulated from each other by a varnish layer. To minimize the hysteresis and eddy current losses in the core, it is constructed of steel stampings of high magnetic permeability. The stampings are assembled one over the other under hydraulic pressure and are fixed into the frame. The function of stator core is to carry the alternating magnetic field, and slots are cut on the inner side of the stampings as shown to accommodate the stator windings. The third part of the stator is the stator winding. The coils are made up of super enameled copper wires and are inserted into the slots of the stator. Each grouping of the coil, together with the core it surrounds, forms an electromagnet, that is a pair of poles, on the application of AC supply. The number of poles of an AC induction motor depends on the internal connection of the stator windings, that is the series parallel combination of the windings or individual coils can give the multiple pole connection on a stator winding. Internally, the stator windings are connected in such a way that when we apply AC supply, three-phase AC supply, a rotating magnetic field is created. There are 6 terminals of the stator winding. 2 for each phase are connected in the terminal box of the motor, so that externally the windings can be connected either in star or delta. The number of poles depends on the speed requirement, and for lower speed, more number of poles are required. The next part is the induction motor rotor. There are 2 types of rotor based on which we classify the induction motor. The first is a squirrel cage rotor, and the second one is the slip ring rotor or the phase wound rotor. The squirrel cage rotor is a solid core. Basically, it is laminated and the bars are inserted inside the core and short circuited at the 2 ends. That is the squirrel cage rotor. And the phase wound is the normal coils being embedded on the rotor slots and brought out at the slip rings, and the slip ring and brush arrangement is used for the external connection of any electric circuitry to the given rotor. The squirrel cage rotor, the shape of the rotor resembles the shape of the cage of the squirrel, and hence the name given. Almost 90% of the induction motors have squirrel cage rotor due to its simple and rugged construction. It consists of a laminated cylindrical core having semi-closed or closed circular slots at the outer periphery. Copper or aluminum bar conductors are actually placed in these slots and short-circuited at each end by copper or aluminum rings called short-circuit rings. The rotor winding is permanently short-circuited and it is not possible to add any external resistance. The rotor slots are not parallel to the shaft but skewed to reduce the humming sound, provide smoother torque for different positions of the rotor, reduce magnetic locking of the stator and rotor, and it increases the rotor resistance due to the increased length of the rotor bar conductors as due to the slanting of the rotor slots. Now, this is almost a maintenance-free rotor. So, this is the most commonly used and least preventive maintenance is required for the squirrel cage rotor. Squirrel cage rotor, when you look at it, it looks something like this. The rotor is mounted on the shaft of the given motor and the rotor contains the fan blades, the laminated core, aluminum bars and short-circuited at the ends, and the fins may be also provided on the short-circuited ring itself to have on the smaller motors for the cooling purpose. The squirrel cage rotor, if we see after removing the laminations, it looks something like a structure similar to the cage of a squirrel, hence the name given to the given rotor. The symbolic representation is required for the schematic diagrams, which is given as the circular section with the round conductors embedded in it. And if you look at the squirrel cage rotor with laminations, this will be the structure on the right side of the screen. You can see the figure, the end ring, the aluminum bars and the steel laminations mounted on the shaft. The squirrel cage rotor has got many advantages. The squirrel cage rotor is cheaper and the construction is robust. The absence of the brushes reduces the risks of sparking. Its maintenance is very less. The power factor is higher and the efficiency of the cage rotor is also high. The slip ring rotor consists of a laminated core having semi-closed slots at the outer periphery and carries a three-phase insulated winding. The rotor is wound for the same number of poles as that of the stator. The three finished terminals are connected together forming a star point and the star terminals are connected to the three slip rings fixed on the shaft. The carbon brushes connect the slip rings and any external resistance can be added in the rotor circuit through this carbon brushes and slip ring arrangement. The main advantage of the slip ring motor is the starting torque can be increased and it decreases the starting current. It can be used to control the speed of the motor, but the disadvantage is its additional copper losses in the external resistance added to the circuit. The slip ring rotor schematic diagram is seen on the left side of the screen. We have got the stator, rotor and you have got the brushes, slip ring and brush arrangement, and externally the resistances are being connected, star connected, and that will help in having a high starting torque from the given motor. The slip ring induction motor is wounded and therefore the coils can be seen in the rotor and the ends of the coils are brought on the slip ring and the external short circuit is created through the brush. There are different other parts also involved in the construction of the induction motors, that is shaft and bearings. Ball and roller bearings are used to suit the heavy duty, trouble-free running and for enhanced service life. Fans has to be light. Therefore, light aluminum fans are normally being used for adequate circulation of the cooling air and are securely keyed onto the rotor shaft. The fans help in cooling the motor naturally as it rotates. The slip ring are made up of high quality phosphor bronze and are of molded construction. Now in the figure you see the open parts of the induction motor from one end to the other. So on one end we have got the fan cover, then the cooling fan, the end bell, the terminal box or the wiring box, then we have got the cast iron frame, and on the frame we have got the name plate which specifies the voltage and current rating of the given motor, plus the class of insulation and the frame size. There is a lifting eye which helps in moving the motor from one place to the other. Then we have got the stator coils mounted on the stator. Rotor is a squirrel cage rotor over here, and the bearing seal is being provided with the end cover. Here it is the cut section of the induction motor, where you can see how the motor is being placed inside the frame, and the different parts are shown over here. The motor terminals and the terminal box, the three-phase winding, the shaft, the bearings, end shield, the motor frame, the laminated stator core, laminated rotor core, the fan, rotor bars and short circuit rings, and the fan cover. So you can visualize the induction motor. How does it look like? By seeing this figure. Today we have discussed about the classification of the motors, broadly classified as AC and DC motor. Then the induction motor construction, which consists of stator and rotor. In stator we discussed about the function of the frame, core and the winding, and the rotor will be either squirrel cage rotor or the slip ring rotor. Depending on the application we select the type of the rotor and the different accessories of the induction motor. So thank you.